Welcome back to the Old Barn on Ann Street. For this week's episode, we're here in Janet's pottery studio because the work we're going to show today is very important when it comes to having a pottery studio and making it work well and efficiently. So let me show you what we're going to do today. One of the most important parts of a pottery studio isn't just the kiln or a wheel, but surprisingly enough, it's shelves. Pottery uses a lot of shelves because when you make a mug or a bowl on the wheel or build something handmade, you have to let it dry for, sometimes weeks before you can put it in the kiln the first time. And then you put it in the kiln once, which is called the bisque firing, which hardens it all up. And then you have to put the glaze on it and put it back in the shelves, back in the kiln a second time. So you need shelves before the first firing. You need shelves between the first and second firing. You just need shelves. And then once they're done, of course, you have to have shelves to display the stuff. So you need all kinds of shelves. And so today the project is to build Janet's drying shelves, which will be back here in the classroom, which is also the room where the kiln is. And so I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Now, over my shoulder, you see some metal shelves. Now, those shelves she bought online a couple years ago, and they work, but they don't look like they belong in an old barn. And so today, the challenge is not only to build some shelves that Janet desperately needs, but to build them in a way that looks old and looks like it fits in this barn and fits the aesthetic. And I'm so excited with the plan. We came up with we debated all kinds of different options on what to do and how to build these shelves, but I love what came up with the final plan. Let me just show you what we're going to do. So in my August 11th video, you met my wonderful neighbor, Vicky, who told us the story about learning to milk cows right here at about that spot in this barn way back when she was a young child, back in the mid-1900s, let's say. And she's an amazing neighbor, and her family has lived in that house on this street for generations. They go back all the way, to the beginning of Shelburne. And so just this summer, she happened to be cutting a tree down in her front yard. And I happened to be there when the guys were cutting the tree down, and I asked if I could have the bottom slab of the tree, and they set it aside. At the time, I had no idea what I was going to do with it, but when Janet and I were debating all the different ways we could make these shelves look old, I have a friend who has a mill and who can mill out the wood, the logs into slabs. And I asked him to make these slabs 1.5 inch thick out of the tree that came from across the street, Vicky's tree. So we're going to use these, flaws and all, to make the shelves for Janet's drying shelves. Drying shelves don't have to be pretty. It's just you put the pottery on it so it dries. And these are going to be beautiful. I'm loving it. This top one is just the edge of it, the rounded edge. I'm gonna show you how I'm going to flatten off the parts of the bottom of that so I can make that the base of the shelves. And I'm excited about it. It's going to be a fun day. It's today's project. So here we go. So I got the bottom slab leveled off on the rounded side so that I can use it as the base of the shelves. And we're getting ready to get started. And I thought I'd show you this wood that we're going to use for the upright parts of the shelves. In the basement of the barn and other parts of the barn, there's been lots of wood. Now, I've said many times I'm almost out of wood. And that's true. But it's really true. We were out of wood that we could use on the surface of the walls. We have these other big hunks of wood that have been around in the barn, and I didn't know what to do with them until we came up with this project here. This, you can't just put like a 3-inch thick piece of wood on the side of a wall, but these will make great uprights of various shapes and sizes for these shelves. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get started, and I think it's going to all come together and look pretty great. So let's just watch and see how this day turns out. So here they are. I think the shelves turned out great. I love the fact that these are made from a tree that was growing right across the street for a long time. I tried counting the rings, lost track at about 100, but who could even count? It's an old tree that was cut down this last summer, and yeah, I just love the fact that it was growing when across the street when the guy who owned the barn was writing on the walls, and I think that's pretty neat. So we were going to leave them like this. This is kind of in a rustic look. We may later decide to put a finish on them, but for now, this is what they're going to look like. I'm really happy with how they turned out. This is one of my favorite projects. I know I've said that about a lot of projects. I have a lot of projects who are some of my favorite projects here in the barn and all the things that we've done. But this was I really did like this one. The fact that we're an old tree growing during the same time as this barn, sharing the same history, becoming her drying shelves. I love that. I hope you enjoyed that too. We're going to continue the work next week. So here's a clip from what's going to happen in the next episode. We're in the studio area of the barn where Janet makes all of her pottery, and this is the front window that faces the road. You saw a car just drive by, and it's the original window. You can see it's been here for a long time. We finished the wood all around it, and we weren't really sure what to do. At one point, we thought about maybe removing these windows. Thanks for joining us again this week. We don't really have that many episodes left. We're getting close to the end of the whole process. I hope you've been enjoying it, and I thank you for sticking with us for this whole time. But next week, we're going to come back again. I hope to see you then for the next episode of The Old Barn on Ann Street.